But could you tell us a bit more about the wheel? Because is the wheel, so the wheel that spins, you have, I don't know the number, but you have, is it 100 plus holes where you can put pigs in?
Yeah, well, yeah, let me go and grab it.
Yeah, sure.
No. So this is it's not fixed at the moment, but yeah. So we've got check those out. It's a little experiment we're doing. So currently, yeah, there are 128 holes going around here, but you can see I've numbered them. We've got a laser cutter here, so it's just laser cut out. But actually, in virtually all the songs and things I've done, I've only really stuck with the 16 positions. We put it in here. We just thought, well, let's just shove it all in, because we've got a swing function. And I thought, I wasn't sure whether the swing function was going to work. So I thought, well, let's build in physical swing, as it were. So there's the opportunity just to put plectrums in late. This current version doesn't go below something like, I think, was it 40 RPM, something like that. But the next, when we upgrade it, this is what you can see, it's all hanging out. We've literally been, for the last month and a half, we've kind of rebuilt it from ground up. And so it can go much slower now. So having more of those holes might have some use to it. But we also want to make it simple. We don't, and so I think, we've improved the precision of the motor, which means actually we can have fewer plectrums. And still so many options. We don't need it to be, because what happens is you write something and then you've got to record where the plectrums are. And currently these are just very simple magnets that kind of hold and go in. But we're designing a whole new mechanism potentially so that everything is inbuilt. It's part of the wheel.
Right.
So you can. Yeah, so we're just working things out.
But so does that work as a type of sequencer then? Like how many plectrums you have is the amount of like strokes, I guess you can call it, or what do you call it?
Yes. So I mean, it's called Circle Guitar, named after Raymond Scott. Raymond Scott created the Circle machine, which was basically a round disc, and it had light bulbs on it, and depending on how bright the light bulb was, it would affect either the pitch, or I think you could even add filters to it, and it span round. And it's like, he called it the Circle machine. And I'm like, well, it's the closest thing, because after coming up with this idea a long time ago, it was like, I couldn't see anything else like it. That was the only thing I could find, and I didn't see it and think of this. It was after the fact, as I started to become interested in something, all these early, instrument designers and makers, and I'm still, learning about these guys. I've kind of come at it from an innocent, like, object solve problems type designer mentality, but I'm still, wanting to study, like, Robert Moog and what he, the journey he went on,
right.
And Raymond Scott obviously being part of that story, and I don't know, it's like, still learning. Sorry.
It's fascinating. So I don't know how much in detail you can go, but so I understand you can also turn off each string, so to speak. So how the hell does that work because it looks like a normal guitar pickup, but I guess it's not.
But this is now not being used. It's just filling. It's actually it used to be there. This is a passive hex pickup. So each string is individually outputted.
Right.
But then I found later on there's a company called Sysify, and this is their active pickup. So each one of these modules is separated, and you can just repeat them. It's a modular pickup, and it looks smaller, but it's as powerful as a humbucker, and it's got very little coloration in the sound, so you can do whatever you want to it. And the guys who are doing that, the company's fantastic. They're really smart engineers. What we've currently got is we've cut the connection between here and the output, and simply just turn them on and off, so we can control when they're on or off. Right. By literally cutting the signal. What the original guitar did was what it would do is it would turn it off by diverting it through to these buttons. So every time you press the button, it will recreate the circuit. So then you can play the strings.
I see.
ergonomically, it's not great. My fingers slip off. It's quite hard to play. Also, there's no attack or release on these, so that's something we're doing. So with this new version, we have got these are now CV buttons, so they go straight out into the Eurorack. So I can then use a hexaphonic ASR envelope to then either shut it down by the VCA, or I can do it much more fun as actually the filter. So every time I press it, it's like it's just, it opens the string up that way. And this is something, the next version is going to be much more.
So they're independent CV outputs then, all the six?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Was it like a control and envelope then, I guess, too, and stuff like that?
Right. Exactly. Or the other thing is it can trigger anything. You can set it up. Right. It doesn't have to turn the strings on and off. The first version literally just was string on, string off, and it's very brutal. And I put effects on it to try and make it sound better. But now we've got this lovely, just the ability to allow it to release and slowly fade out, and just a little bit of attack kind of makes it sound much nicer as well. So. And we're just looking at things like, whether we, there's a conceptual journey we're going on, because what we're trying to do as well is think about the types of people that would use this guitar. And currently we have modeled the sort of the professional player, as it were, who's not really, he's a guitarist, he makes his own music, but he's not really sitting in front of a DAW. He's not massively into menu diving. He wants to play, so we're creating a version for him or her, and then the other one is much more of the producer. Right. So we've got the professional and producer model. The producer model would obviously have everything going through Pro Tools or Ableton, and his recording studio is the musical instrument. Just happens, and this guitar enables them to kind of connect all this equipment together, and so we're trying to, because I can't talk about price yet because we haven't got a final price, but they're not cheap. They can't, we're not going to can't do it. Literally, there's so much that's gone into this. There's so much, the design and engineering is literally second to none. We're doing everything to be bulletproof, frankly, but we're trying to not have every guitar full of features, which is confusing. We're trying to make the concept as simple as possible to follow and purchase.
Yeah, definitely. But so, with the strumming thing, with the wheel, does that mean, obviously you have the speed, you said, was it 40 RPM or something? Was that it? Yeah,
it's going up to, currently it's between, we can get it down to like one RPM now, but it's going all the way up to about 250.
But so, I guess that's up to the user in the end, but does that mean they get the wheel or the pick can strum all the strings?
Yes.
Or can just, but can you do both, so to speak? Could you say this round of rotation you should play a chord and the next one just a note, for example?
Yeah, to a degree. Right. We've got, there's the way it's working. Obviously, you could make it play a chord and then maybe just play that one string and then bounce back again, the one, say, the top E or the bottom E, but it will strike all the strings. It's just when you then amplify those strings, there's very, very, very little bleed between the strings on the pickup, so you are able to isolate and play individual strings. But there's no reason why you can't do it. But you could do that. I mean, and the sophistication we're building in is going to allow people to be very, very precise as to where the wheel's going. And as I say, it's not just going to be a continuous movement. It's going to be able to do little, kind of, it can strum back and forth, go really slowly, kind of, we can also just start, adding all sorts of different kind of swing values, so that you could start to get much looser with, as well as, but, very precise, but in a loose way.
I mean, the possibilities are endless. Just listening to you talking, it's just like my head is just going, oh, maybe you can do that. I mean, you can essentially be a one-man band with that thing,
Yeah.
With a few synths, you You were there.
Yeah. One use case is exactly that. Is having with the guitar being the time code, and drum machines coming in and out, synth lines coming in and out, because you're now potentially going to be able to play, if you wanted to, play a bass line through a synth on these keys whilst this is playing. I mean, it's like my fear is that because there's so much flexibility. Hopefully others will get into that. But my fear is that for many people, this is going to be like, just go way beyond me. So I'm trying to make sure that we have a product for them, as well as a product for guys that really love and understand modular synthesis and how that all goes together, and thinks creatively about routing instruments together and thinks like that. Understands that the recording studio is basically a giant musical instrument,
exactly.
in ways.
But I think that's also why you lined up perfectly with Paul and those guys, because he's massively into modular synths and
totally, and
they're doing all that sort of cool stuff.
Exactly, and there's all sorts of things happening. So we've got a new we're putting new controls on here. So this is actually a motorized fader. Cool. So we're actually adding things like haptic feedback, and you're going to be able to interact with this, and it will in different ways to affect guitar in different ways. So this is, it's and again, it's like the combination. I guess the original idea, has to have been basically take a record deck and combine it with a guitar. It's that fader idea. It's not a million miles away. So,
awesome. I can't wait to see more of it, and maybe be able to try one at some point.
Yeah, in the future. Well, I'm hoping this is literally the only one at the moment. So once we've kind of modified this to a point. This is like version 1.5.
Yeah.
We then went to version 2, and we'll always have a guitar. And we're down in Somerset House, so we're here to try and have a nice place for people to come and kind of demo it and have a go, and